Hey Alpha Fam, Coach Jam here with another market update. Before we begin, I do want to say that nothing in these videos is financial advice. Everything's for educational purposes only. It's just my own analysis on the market. Also, if you're new to the Alpha Syndicate channel, if you can please give us a like, comment, and a subscribe, we really do appreciate the support. So let's get into the market, guys. So this weekend, the U.S. bombed Iran. All right, and kind of had a feeling this was going to occur. So they'd given Iran a couple of weeks to make a decision, to make a deal. The TLDR is they don't want Iran to enrich uranium. They don't want them to have the capabilities of creating a bomb. More so for the protection, I think, of Israel in that general region. But this has been an ongoing issue for as long as I've been alive. All right, guys. Iran has been a enemy of Israel, which is a extremely close partner or ally of the United States. And honestly, guys, I didn't know if this would actually occur or not because they've been talking about it for so long. But with that being said, obviously war is not a good thing for the market. But we've had some interesting movements over the weekend because of it. Typically, when you get one of these situations, you get a turbo dump. All right. And what I think we've seen, honestly, guys, was that's what we started de-risking into Friday. So also, we know the MO. This is the way that Trump does all of his major FUD events, guys. It's always going to be done on a Friday night. The announcement's going to be made. All right. The reason for this is the initial shock of the announcement has until Monday to wear off. This allows the weekend for the events to play out. And then during the weekend, what we usually have is a concession of different announcements that are made to bring some certainty back into the markets. The first one was the supreme leader of Iran was terminated and eliminated on Friday night, along with a plethora of other personnel and high-ranking government officials in Iran. Supposedly, the new leader that was assigned, I think is the son of the supreme leader, has also reportedly been terminated and eliminated as well during these operations. So what does that mean? Where do we go? What is going to happen from here? So typically when we get these FUD events with Trump, guys, we typically can expect the first few days to be very volatile. But then what I think is going to happen is during this week, we're going to get a concession or a bunch of announcements, all right? These announcements will be made, I think, more for de-escalation purposes. And then this is also going to bring some more certainty back in the market. What was interesting is this. If you look on the 4-hour, this was the initial move down that we had. And then we bounced very aggressively from the announcement of the leader being killed, all right? The reason why brings certainty into the market. All right, guys, and that's what the market needs. It needs some certainty, and it also wants to know the conflict is going to end as quickly as possible. So when you remove the supreme leader, this has brought some confidence into the market that hopefully this thing, the escalation in the war will come to an end as quickly as possible. All right, so what we've seen right now is we made this initial push up. We've come back down a little bit. I think a big reason, too, was we've seen a little bit of weakness on the futures when they opened, but this was to be expected because futures they weren't open when the attack happened. So this was their initial shock. You can kind of see it. It opened up. It's down currently about 1%, and it's come down and it's bouncing just like the crypto markets do. And then we have the NASDAQ that's done something very similar. You can see it opened up, this massive push down. It's only down 0.28. Now, I was actually going to wait till the U.S. market opened to make this video, but I didn't want to wait too long because I wanted to be able to get some of this information out. But I'm really interested to see the reaction from the U.S. market today after it happened. I would probably expect maybe a little bit of volatility today. I would even maybe expect it to be a red day, all right? It also, because of all of the things that have transpired, we could also see potentially a push back up. I do think that the local bottom is in. I think this local bottom is going to hold on Bitcoin. If you come over here on the 4-hour, this local low right here, the 63, because this was maximum war FUD that was announced, and it couldn't break below it, which was actually higher than this. So what we need to see is, honestly, guys, what I would really like to see is a clear over this line, all right? We need to make a new higher high, all right, guys? So what I would like to see, and this is also a chance too, where they could try to sink us down a little bit, and then we take off, all right, guys? But I think throughout the week, as this, we get further and further away from the attack, and we get more announcements, more certainty, more clarity coming back into the market from the president, I think we'll see a positive reaction. And that's essentially what we've seen over the weekend, guys. I'll be extremely honest. I was very, very impressed by the overall strength that the crypto market held during this. I honestly, with that, because I've been in the market long enough, guys, where last year the same thing kind of happened, but the United States wasn't as forward acting in the role. It was completely Israel. And Israel and Iran bombed each other for about a week last year. We obviously had, during that period of time when it first happened, we turbo nuked down, we dumped, and then from there we found a local bottom and then continued to push up like nothing happened. Like literally 2 weeks later, we were completely past the event. I'm expecting something pretty similar for this, as long as a couple of things don't happen. One, we haven't really had any aggression from China or Russia, and that's their ally. So it's kind of, calling their bluff a little bit, just like it's calling Iran's bluff, saying that they had all of these bombs and they were going to, nuke everybody if this happened, and obviously nothing has occurred. All right, guys. So with that being said, war is obviously not good for the market. It's never going to be a good thing. It's not something that I'm ever going to be proactively happy about. I want the wars to be over as quickly as possible. And simply just because, guys, war is bad for business. War is bad for the markets. It's not a good thing. It's not something that makes them. And again, even though we have had this push down and even though the market's shown strength, if things escalate further, it could be really, really bad for the markets. I think that right now where we're at, I'm not only impressed, but I also don't want to see escalation, guys, because I'm telling you, if China or Russia enters into this conflict in any capacity, it's going to be very, very bad. All right. So with that being said, we have to wait for the U.S. market to open. We do have some data coming out today. So today we have the ISM manufacturing PMI. All right, and this is very important. I talked about it last week. This data is very important. They're actually expecting it to go down a little bit. All right, and that would be kind of expected because if you look at this, guys, how much it went up when it did go up. If this thing wants to come back down a little bit, that would make a lot of sense. And you can see, like, when these things do these initial big moves up, you can see this is in 13, then it came back down a little bit and then continued to push. Same thing happened here. You seen when it finally broke up, it did this big push up, came back down, and then did a final push. Now, 2021 was a little bit different because it had just a massive aggression or a massive aggressive push continuously, but I think that was more so because of all of the money that was being printed because of COVID during that period of time. So if this thing doesn't go down at all, I think that this is going to be really, really positive for the crypto market, guys, because if this thing doesn't go down and if this thing actually stays the same or goes up a little bit, I think that's not going to be unexpected, and I think that's going to be super bullish for the market, and I'm very interested to see where this data leads. Then we also have ISM Services PMI data tomorrow, and this is at 53.8. They're expecting it to drop slightly. I'm very interested to watch that one as well because, again, guys, the TLDR in this is we want these things to be over 50. Because when it's over 50, it shows that the economy is expanding. When the economy is expanding, this usually means that corporations, people, they have more money, more cash flow, and then this money eventually finds its way into the markets. That's why you can see back here, and we've talked about this extensively, guys, why every single bull run never really started until after this thing broke above the 50 level. And you can see it just clear as day, guys. If I draw the 50, you can see 13, you got 17s, and you got 21. Look at this whole entire time, guys. This whole entire cycle, we've never been over 50. We've peaked above it and then immediately, pulled back down. And the reason why I think that happened was quantitative easing. There was no QE during that period of time, which leads us to the quantitative easing and them actually printing a little bit more money. So I did a little research into this. You can see this thing pushed up pretty aggressively. They did a little bit of a pullback. They pushed in about $402 million. But if you look at the last time, let me get rid of that. If you look at the last time they did QE, guys, it was never just straight up. So I was actually looking at this. You can see this is what they do. They push money in and then they pull it out. And it's over a period of time. So you can see it's going up and down, up and down, up and down. Because they're pushing money in, pushing money out, pushing money in. But the general trend is up and to the right. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Which is why I think we should see the PMI and all of these things continue to trend up. Because we are getting the liquidity conditions required for it to happen. Obviously, we need to get past the war FUD. This is never a good thing for the markets. I don't ever want to see us in a war. I'm honestly very disappointed because, one of the big campaign promises for Trump was no new wars. And now we've gone to Venezuela. Now we're in Iran. This is just kind of showing a little bit of, I don't want to say, lie, because things change, guys. There's always these dynamics that change, especially in politics and governments. My dad's a high-ranking military official, so I understand this stuff a lot better. There's some dynamics that change. You might campaign for something for years, and then all of a sudden something happens where it forces that change. So that could have been a dynamic that happened as well. Not exactly sure. This isn't a political channel, but what we do like to do is we monitor and track the macroeconomic conditions and data that really drive markets both directions, up and down. And this kind of goes back to the reason I started Alpha Syndicate. And if this is the first time you've ever seen one of my videos, my name's Coach JM. I've been a digital asset investor going on over 5 years now, and I am the founder of Alpha Syndicate. I also host all of the Crypto Talk workshops. And if you want to learn this stuff, guys, if you want to understand the macro, the fundamentals, the technical analysis, and how we really combine all three of these together to give us an edge on the market. And if you also want a place where you can get coached, mentored, a place that you can network with other traders, entrepreneurs, click the link below, guys. We'll see you inside.